Nathan. Okay. This is going to be a hard story for me to tell, and I don't think I can tell all of it. I don't know, maybe I should. I'm going to tell what I feel comfortable telling. How about that? Okay. Nathan was the first person I ever trauma bonded with. And you could argue, well, ain't that's what you're doing here now, ma'am, is trauma bonding with us good folks? Maybe. Um, but I think if me explaining how I got here can stop a young girl from going through this, then I'm going to tell it. Because I can tell you, even my little sister, you know, she said before, I watched y'all go through these things, and it stopped her from, you know, kind of transitioning into these kind of patterns. I'm sure she probably had a toxic situation or two, but she always knew, like, nope, I see this pattern, I've recognized this before, and she's always been very good at, like, just nipping that in the bud. We had to learn. We had to learn the hard way. And again, I'm not blaming my parents, but my daddy did not talk to us about men or relationships, connection. We just watched our parents, right? And I know parents, you think that's enough. It's not. Like, I have a 12-year-old myself. I'm talking to him constantly about, and maybe I do it too much. I have to kind of rein myself in sometimes, but I'm like, whoever you end up with not going to, you know, put up with that. Like, you can't do that, you know? Or I just remind him, like, hey, there's other ways to approach certain things in how you connect with people and how you talk to people, and how you respect people. So anyways, back to Nathan. Nathan was very troubled, and I've always been the kind of person who really connects with wounded people, or like feeling sorry for them or wanting to help, right? I've always had that nature of wanting to help, and it has gotten me in so much trouble. Again, now I understand that I'm doing this out of a place where I'm wanting to help, but I also know my limits with certain things. So, and I'm a believer, I know I'm jumping around a lot, guys, but I'm a believer that you don't permanently fix these type of patterns in your life, like these things that developed in you. You don't permanently fix them. They come up for you and you make a different choice. You literally have to rewire your brain. I'm constantly rewiring my brain with this stuff every day, because I allowed situations that altered my brain forever. Nathan, I think I'm stalling, is what this is. So, very troubled kid from South Carolina. His parents were Jamaican, so they came here. They had, you know, their own hurdles to get over culturally and, you know, financially, emotionally. He was their only child. And you would look at the parents from the outside and think, how did this kid end up this way? So when I first met him in Myrtle Beach, he was that rough and tough. I used to mistake hardness with true masculinity, and it's not. It's false masculinity, and it's really just fear. It's, you know what I'm talking about, that macho kind of attitude, people who are masking masculinity, right? And so I saw that in him and was like, that's interesting. I had never seen that really in a kid my age. Mind you, I'm in 7th grade. So, and that stuff can be attracted to you. And when someone is very charismatic and they're showing you attention, and you're a people pleaser, and you don't know how to emotionally connect with people properly, especially your father. Those things are very appealing. Um, so he was someone who I like had weird adverse reaction to, like, this is kind of dangerous, but I'm intrigued, right? And so we had his number in like the old Nokia phone. And I remember a year later after meeting him, seeing it. It was a summer's day. Seeing it in the phone, I'm like, huh, I wonder what this person's up to. And I texted him. And I was like, is this Brendan's, Nathan, is this still your number? Sorry. You know what? I don't really give a fuck, okay? Because this man put me through hell. And he knows he did. And he's locked up now, anyways. So, anyways, we'll continue to call him Nathan. I won't make that mistake again. But he reeled me in. Again, like we spent a whole summer talking to each other. I was lonely. I felt like he understood me. I am always been the person for the underdog. Like that's always been appealing for me. I always admired it. And it was one of those things where I had the understanding, like, maybe because I internally felt like an underdog too, so I would root for the underdog. I don't know. But he had just got out of a group home, and I always thought group homes were for kids who didn't have parents. And he had two parents. His dad was a trucker, his mom was a teacher. And so it seems like a pretty stable household from the outside. And I don't know. I always wondered like what went wrong, but I was thinking, oh, okay, this kid is working on himself, his behavioral problems. So it was intriguing to me. Self growth has always been very appealing to me when connecting with people in friendships and in relationships. So I'm always willing to give a person a chance. But people can pretend growth too. So got to know this guy. We bonded. Then so like for basically a whole year. That next summer, we went to Myrtle Beach. I lost my virginity to him. Yeah, I know I'm telling a lot, but he was my first. And you know how that is, ladies. With your first, you kind of really connect with them. But then he disappeared for a year. So I'm abandoned, right? So he was supposedly on the run with moving weight, all that stuff. Yes, I was into the gangsta dudes for a little bit. I was a bit, again, the false masculinity drew me in. And so I really think that he was just either back in a group home for a year. Like, I think he completely lied. This man definitely had some antisocial behaviors. And I don't say that lightly. I'm not here to bullshit you. When we got back together finally, it was like I think my junior year in high school, because I had connected with other people, but those situations didn't work out because one was secretly gay, another one just I dated, and but they weren't into me. Again, like they were seeking approval from white girls. I'm gonna just be real. There's a dynamic in my hometown. Again, I don't care who you date, but there's a dynamic in my hometown where black men feel like they have to be with a white woman to succeed, and it's not just their preference. Like sometimes it is their preference, but again, like the dating pool was slim, so you date who you can, or specifically for these men who they feel like could get them ahead. That disclaimer's out of the way. So again, not being chosen